This is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a fun fucking show. And Andrew's absolutely going to bite his tongue and be nice and definitely filter his hate for fucking Supergirl.
No, you're not. You're gonna go first.
Yeah, you're gonna go first. I want to hear how
You
much you
have
loved
to.
it.
It's
Yeah,
fresh. It's still a fresh wound for you.
yeah.
It's the
Okay.
So
Well,
freshest
all
thing
three
we
of us have
have.
seen it.
Wait,
Well, three of us have
here's
seen
some
it.
salt. Here's some salt. There you go.
yeah.
All right. Well, you have hosting duty, so you get to choreograph this shit. You get to direct.
I mean, we might as well open with what is honestly, if you're on social media at all, arguably the most controversial friggin' movie of the summer, which is Supergirl. And I feel like we're about to see the same thing here. But Andrew literally saw this hours ago, whereas I saw it last weekend. Eric, I think, did you see it in the middle of the week? Did you see it last weekend?
I saw it last weekend.
Okay. So we'll let Andrew go first because number one, he just saw it. Number two, I know vaguely what his opinion is, and I'm ready to hear it. And then we will go from there. So Andrew, tell me or tell us and the people watching or listening what you thought of Supergirl.
I hated it. I I thought it was a terrible film. I think I'll start with the good. The good was actually all the fight scenes. I think that all the fight scenes were actually really good. And the only times I didn't want to walk out of the room or walk out of the theater, those were actually good. They were good. I mean, that's all I got to say. That's about it. I'm sorry. I didn't think any of the characters, maybe the only character that I half gave a crap about was the little girl, Ruth. Like I think that, she was a survivor of the family who the baddie takes care of. Um, and then maybe Kal-El. Like I think, when you see Superman show up, but I just felt like everybody else was just. Oh, and also the scenes of like the Yargo, like when um Supergirl's family, her parents like do the force field and save
Mhm.
that little piece of Krypton that's floating through space. That part was
Argo
cool.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, Argo City. But everything else, I'm sorry. Millie, I mean, I'm sure you're a very nice person, but I just think that ultimately what I don't like about um, just James Gunn's whole vibe is it's just passing off mediocrity as something great. It's almost like the more mediocre you are in everything you do, somehow that's supposed to be like, oh my God, let's celebrate it. And I'm like, I don't come to watch a movie or anything to just swim around in mediocre muck. I want to actually be inspired in some way, lifted in some way. And I can talk about even obsession. Someone might say, how can obsession inspire you? I can point to many things that inspire me, including the fucking amazing performance, for example,
Yeah.
by so it's like that's right. But this was just complete blah. And then the other thing about it for me personally, and I will totally own my hatred for this movie, is I know for me personally, time is a very valuable resource. And the whole time I was thinking to myself, I mean, there's so much I want to do in life, so much I can do in life. I walked into a guitar center today for the first time in like 2 years, and let me tell you, I felt alive in there. Bought myself a mic, a keyboard bench and a keyboard stand. Okay, these are the things that I could be doing instead of sitting here watching this damn movie. I want to walk out 20 minutes in. I finished the movie because people on my feed, like whenever I share any headline because I'm objective, but they don't understand the concept of objectivity, they'll say, "Why are you posting all this negative stuff about Supergirl?" I said, "I'm not posting it. I'm just posting what's out there." That's number one. But now that I've seen it, I can confirm it. It's not a good movie.
Let me ask you this, Anthony Mackie. What was
No, we'll
mediocre
talk
about
about
it?
that in a second. All right, because the thing is, Anthony Mackie, dude, no. I mean, I think Man of Steel is 10 times better than Supergirl. I'm sorry, dude. I
I
don't think it's a fair
disagree. We'll
comparison.
get there. I
Yeah,
disagree.
that's fine. It's 10 times better in
But
so
I
many
mean,
ways.
what?
The
So,
score is better. It's fucking yeah, it's Hans Zimmer. Give me a break.
oh
I
no, the
think it's
score in Man of Steel, I'll never argue.
no,
That's
no,
phenomenal.
a movie is everything. It's the score, it's the
Sure.
cinematography, it's the actors. I'm sorry, even the fact that there's no memorable. Man of Steel had tons of memorable characters, tons. I mean, you didn't have one person said the villain sucked, and I agree. To think that if you think that guy is better than Zod, played by Michael Shannon, Kim, you're tripping. I'm sorry, I'm being real. Man of Steel, pound for pound, is a better film than Supergirl. But that's just my opinion. I'll own it. But I'm getting a little passionate about it because it's like, nah, I mean, sell me on this movie. Tell me why it was good. Because right now it had like two characters, Lobo, and a terrible villain. I mean, that was really big, pretty much it. And one of the things I also asked for is a big cast. If you don't have a big cast, then give me a cast that's actually fucking interesting. And I just don't find anything interesting about a depressed, puked, crooked teethed, I'm saying I said it, fucking Supergirl. I'm sorry. Go.
Eric, what was your take? Because I know what mine is, obviously.
Uh, what? No Chick-fil-A sauce? Um, anyway, I don't disagree with you all the way, but my take on it, walking out of the movie theater, was interesting that I loved the villains and were okay with the main character. But to me, she wasn't the main character. I could have watched a whole movie about Lobo. End of.
And yeah, you will. Like that's the thing.
Oh,
You
I know
will.
that. I know that. And he's been chomping at the bit to be Lobo, kind of like
He
how The
was
Rock
born
wanted to be
Lobo.
Black. He was born Lobo. And he just slid right into that outfit. Like,
Hmm.
that's him, man. That's it. You never have to recast this character.
Yeah.
As far as Supergirl, look, and this is not coming from any other place other than someone who has, in his history, absorbed Supergirl as the side character. She was sort of invented to be and kind of veered off on her own and did her thing for a while. And now they're kind of trying to bring her back as a main character. And they certainly didn't get it right with Slater. We get that. Um, I wasn't interested in Dawson's Creek Where's the Cape, so I didn't really watch a lot of the WB. I watched the first couple of seasons, and then it started, sliding into the Arrowverse, and I lost contact with the Arrowverse.
Same, actually.
Yeah, and that's when all my drama was really going on anyway, so I disconnected from everything back then.
Yeah.
Um, I don't hate her. I don't hate her. And she did what she was told to do. It's not her fault. The movie is the way it is. Look, James Gunn hit a home run with me with Peacemaker. He ran a home run with me with the Superman movie because I loved watching that comic book. And
Yep.
we spoke about that.
Yep.
Supergirl felt forced. It felt incomplete. It felt like I was reading her journal more than I was watching a movie. And it was a movie that could have been an episode. And it was a long episode. I would have preferred it to be a short series.
Like
And
lanterns or something.
something like that, because then maybe you're not force fed this character that there's already some criticism about even before you've watched her speak a word. So I took all that Chucka stuff and there were elements of her character I really associated with. And no lie, I've dated that girl in high school and I dated that girl when I was newly single when I was married. Party hard and party long. And that's something I can, I guess, identify with from back then. Um, I just don't think that was put together well. It was very much Bride of Frankenstein, Eh, it was bits and pieces.
All right. Well, I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I actually thought she was fantastic. I completely disagree about Ruthie. I think that movie could have been made without her, and it would have been just fine. She is barely a setup. She doesn't serve much purpose other than to get herself into trouble. And then kind of go away. The girl did okay with the part, but the part was super flat. The part was pointless, other than to give Kara a reason to kill somebody at the end of the movie.
LOL. I'll put you to this though.
Otherwise, Ruthie does not serve much purpose. Okay.
Okay.
Lobo, the movie could have been made without Lobo. He was great in it, but
Mm.
it could have been made without him. And it would have been the same movie. If Lobo never showed up, you would just need to find some other reason for her to, escape or get through a couple of issues. But
Would you?
overall, go ahead.
I was going to
The-
just say, would you say that the inclusion of Lobo did though improve the movie for you experience
No,
wise?
no, I really
No.
did.
Okay.
I did not care. I thought he was good. I thought he was great
Yeah.
as Lobo, but as a character in that movie, I did not care. I
No,
did
because
not
they
think
didn't
he
use him
added
right.
anything to the movie.
Yeah, they didn't
So
use him
I
right.
will say I did I did like Lobo number one, but
Oh,
then
I
going back
like
to
him.
Ruth, yeah, no, but going back to Ruthie though, Ruthie is what made Kara give a shit. Like Kara did not give a shit. At one point, she's like, "Not my circus." No, she said, "Not my monkeys, not my circus." I think it was supposed to be a play,
Yep,
but she it was almost like she had a little sister thing going on with her, and I think
sure.
that that's what made that like she was her so much so that like you alluded to it, that like I'll be real, like I'm sitting there in my seat. I actually sat forward when Ruthie has a sword to the bad guy's neck, and he's like, "Don't do it. You know, if you do it, he'll scar you for the rest of your life." And I'm just like, so anyway, but of course I was satisfied when Kara kills the guy, but to me it was like she just wanted to protect her because you're not a killer, you're not, I'm going to protect your innocence, but I'm going to do it myself. So to me it was like, no, I do think Ruthie had a point, and I think the point was to give, again, Kara had nothing, she lost everybody, and she didn't feel at home with at or in Earth on Earth either. She was ignoring Clark the whole time. Then finally, when Ruthie is like, and she's celebrating her birthday by getting blitzed, okay, but then Ruthie's like, you know what? Come celebrate my birthday with me. Let's do it the right way. And then after being shown what it's like to actually have a connection, she goes and decides to live with Clark. So to me, no, I do think Ruthie played like a pivotal role in Kara's like kind of character arc in the film.
Yeah, I mean,
Personally.
I could say that, but I still think the character was pretty flat. I
Hmm.
did not find the
The
character
movie was
itself
flat.
particularly. I
I
disagree.
I
I
know
She
it's
was
disagree.
like,
still fun.
she was
I
kind of like
disagree.
Rose. She was kind of like Rose to me. I don't know if you know what I'm
Rose?
talking about. Yeah, from Rise of the last of the last trilogy with Rey, Star Wars.
Oh, Rose
Uh,
Tito. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
LOL.
like she's there, she's a character, she's there, she's moving the plot somewhere, but she's
well,
like
to
you
be
just
fair with
said,
Rose, she got screwed by the whole director issue and
half the
not knowing what the
cast.
hell. Yeah, yeah,
They all did.
not knowing what the hell they were doing. Well, I mean, the entire cast did because even Ray
What did
got
Braga
boned.
want to tell her? I want to know. I'm
Yeah,
force
so,
sensitive.
but I just think I think Ruthie was just sure she helped Kara along, but she was not as interesting as she could have been. Like that character could have been 100 times better. And that's not a knock on the actress. I just think she anybody could have played that part. Not that the girl didn't do a good job, but there was just so little to the character that I think anybody could have played Ruthie and done fine. I think Amelia Alcock was the best part of the movie. I do not have a problem with the villain because I think he's a fucking horrible guy and he was doing horrible things and he died doing horrible things. Like I'm sorry, like I
Yeah.
see people saying that he's a horrible villain, but or that he doesn't play a good villain. But a villain doesn't have to be Killmonger to be good. He is a bad guy doing bad guy things, and he gets killed at the end. Like that's all I need from him.
So I knew I'd seen Ruthie somewhere. So at first I thought she was in Severance for a second as kind of like the oddly mature, like kind of
Oh, she does kind of
supervisor,
look
but
like
it's
her.
not her.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
her. No, but she was in the three body problem. She was the one, like
Okay.
that little character who
Oh,
kept dying, like, save me, and then she would die. Anyway, so I do think we'll see E. Ridley and other things.
Oh,
Me
100%.
personally,
100%.
yeah.
I think she's talented. I just think that the part wasn't great. But um I liked I liked the villain as a villain. I think the entire time he's on screen, you want him to die.
Yes, this is true.
He's doing things that you don't want somebody to be doing. Like he's doing everything a villain is supposed to do. He's slimy, he's skeezy, he's gross. This movie isn't a big saving the universe story. This isn't a Zod level story. He doesn't have to be Zod level to be the bad guy. He's just a bad guy that is in the way of certain things, and he's got to be taken care of. And that's what the movie's about.
I think a good villain is someone where you can somewhat understand their motivation.
I've
Somewhat.
completely understood his motivations.
Like you
He's
actually
selling people.
sympathize. Yeah, no,
Oh,
but
no,
you
I don't
sympathize with
sympathize.
anyone. Yeah, but
You don't have to
Zod,
sympathize with every villain for them to be
well,
good.
no, but Zod, for example, like his whole thing was protecting, or his it was a commitment to Krypton and the Kryptonians. Like that was his whole thing. And to me, that's actually like you're an asshole, but at the same time, it's like that was your purpose. Your purpose was Krypton. And and Kal-El was like, fuck Krypton. Krypton had its time. Which again to me is a great like line, like it had its time. I'm now on Earth. Krypton had its time, and we're gonna move forward. That so anyway, Eric, you say something.
and that's what makes him a good arch villain. This is not an arch villain. It's a villain. It's a heavy of the story, but this is not arch villain territory.
Was
Yeah.
this a story that needed a feature film? I mean, I do think the audience
No,
is
that's what I
still.
said. It could have been a miniseries.
Yeah, I just feel like okay, fine, but then why are you and this is again the other thing. Like my concern with Gunn was I don't see him as a big picture guy. I see him as very like navel gazing. That's the real punk rock. Like, okay, like, and I feel like if you're dealing with a god, which is Superman, you got to be able to tell big picture stories, not like, very like I'm saving a cat from a tree, And I know that's probably like the comic origins or whatever, but maybe what? I'm done. I'm not gonna like keep pissing on people's yum. Like I'm not gonna yuck your yum. I will say if I want the big scale shit, that's X-Men 97 all day, baby. Like this shit in only 3 episodes, we are going future, past, fucking apocalypse. You've got the X-Force, you've got X Factor. So it's not no longer just the X-Men. Like they're actually the other fucking squad showing up. I'm diverging a little bit. So thank you for letting me talk a little bit about my Supergirl experience. It was painful. I wanted to walk out. I stayed because I feel like if you're gonna shit on something, at least see the whole thing. Otherwise, you're being ignorant. So I stayed for the whole thing. The dog's cute. I'll admit that. And again, I do think the dynamic between cousins is it's I like it. I will say more and more, Corn Sweat really embodies, I think, the good-hearted spirit of Clark Kent. That's what I'll also say about the film. I did like how good-natured he was.
Yeah, he was already that guy. Like we already knew that. That's
Yeah,
nothing
but I want more. But I want more.
that's nothing new. Well, you get more. He's got a whole other movie coming out.
I know, next year, I
But
think.
yeah, I do agree that the best scenes in the movie for me were the Argo City scenes.
Yeah.
That hit harder than anything else in the whole movie by far. Other than as a dog owner, watching Crypto go down and then, at the very end when she gets him back, for me, that's a big deal. I've got dogs. I had to two years ago, I had to put a dog down. We had him at home. He was old. He just wasn't doing well. We had somebody come into the home and do it. So like it was like a whole family thing, but like it's an emotional thing. And so um I get how the only thing she had left was Crypto,
Yeah.
and he tries to kill. He doesn't. I
Well,
don't think the bad guy was like, "Yay, I'm going to kill
correct.
your dog." It just happened to be there and was something for him to shoot because he's an asshole. But that really kicks off the story, and so like that all worked for me. It's funny that that Crypto was, is such a shit, which is what I love too, because the whole persona of the dog was created because James Gunn adopted a dog, and he was like, this is the story that I'm going to make out of this character because I, you know, I love this shitty dog that I adopted, and which is really funny because my first the first dog that me and my wife had was a giant Malamute, and she was huge, 130 pounds, like just a monstrosity. And I call her the best worst dog because she was the worst dog, but I loved her like she was the best, and she was, fun. She loved to like cuddle up, and she was so good to me and to people, but she was a destructive force. Like she was an absolute
Ah,
terror. And
wanna come up?
and I've got stories out the yang I can tell about that dog, but
Wanna come up?
the point is like, you know, a bad dog is still a good dog, like you love your dog no matter what. So it worked for the story. And it's interesting
Right
that it
on
worked as
screen.
well as it did
Put it
because
up.
crypto crypto is um a small part of the story time wise. He's in the
Yes.
beginning, he's at the end, but obviously not in most of the movie. Whereas he was actually a bigger part of Superman. Um, but uh, but yeah, for me, this movie um, was about character growth. You see everything that Kara goes through, and it had a villain that I wanted to see die, and he did. And to be fair, like Kara doesn't follow. It establishes the fact too that Kara does not follow the same rules
Oh no.
that Clark does. She she doesn't want to kill anybody. Like if there had been a way to take this guy down and do something else, she probably would have. But if you leave this guy out there, he's going to do the same thing again. Like that is his thing. He's just a bad guy. He's going to hurt people. He's going to hurt kids. He's going to sell child brides. Like he's all the stuff that you want to put up on up on the French guillotine and drop the hammer. So he had to go. One thing that I thought was going to happen actually when she when not Rose when
Ruthie?
Ruthie had the sword to his neck at the end, I was actually waiting for her to swipe the necklace and throw the like for her growth moment to be okay, I'm not going to kill him. She swipes the necklace and which has the cure for crypto in it and tosses that to Kara. Like I was waiting for that moment. So it was like her choosing her kind of found family situation over killing this guy. And then, obviously Kara would still do it after that, but I just wanted to see, I don't know, that little moment of a little more from Ruthie. I think that could have been there.
I think that would have actually been an
Um,
improvement.
yeah. But otherwise, she was fine. It's just the character needed something else. And the other thing that like didn't make sense to me, and this is actually something that affects the entire movie, so it's interesting, is that I don't understand why the dude left Ruthie behind in the first place. She's the perfect age for him to take into this whole child trafficking ring that he has. So why didn't he just take her in the first place?
That to me
He
was
looked
wrong.
right at her and walked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so,
It's not perfect, but
if there's a plot hole in the movie, to
it's
me,
that.
it's that.
Mm.
Um, the scene was good, and I liked how she had a prepared speech as the little tough kid walking around everywhere, which is actually why I saw the comparisons to True Grit that people were talking about, because this
Yeah.
definitely had more of a Western feel than it did anything else. But the True Grit comparison with her and Kara lands really well because, especially if I don't think I ever watched the original True Grit, but I watched the one with Haley Steinfeld, and she's, thinks she's all tough and badass, and she's about 4'1", you know, and it's kind of the same thing. This little girl's like, I'm gonna kill the world, and I've got the sword, and everybody's like, cool, that's a neat sword, but the first thing that happens is she gets it taken right from her, and
Yeah, like
it's
immediately and
like,
walked away.
yeah,
She reminded me of Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones a little bit too, just being a little girl, being like, a little brave. But
except for
Lyanna can
Liana was a
actually
badass.
exactly
Like
the same. That
she
was
was a
the thing.
genuine badass. Like
Yes, he
you
was.
wouldn't mess with her, and everybody was like, "Oh, I'll mess with this look good."
Yeah,
The only other thing that I didn't love, and I get why I was there, I felt like there was too many just like random aliens in this movie.
thank you.
Like you just couldn't quite settle into like who was who and what was what, and I think that could have been toned down somehow. It just felt like a little too much.
It was just
Um,
Guardians all over again, and that I didn't like
well, and
either.
Star
But I
Wars. I
will.
mean, Star Wars. It was like going into the cantina in Star Wars. It's just I didn't. It's sort of jarring to see that in this universe all of the sudden. Like
Right.
obviously this is on a galactic scale. You've got Krypton, you've got all this other stuff. So there's definitely other planets, other species out there, but they just threw in like the kitchen sink's worth of creatures and stuff in there.
Speaking of kitchen sink, and the other genuine laugh it got out of me was when Clark also asked, "Where's the dog staying?" Because like when like she's like, "I'm staying, you're staying here, cool," but all of a sudden, dog's in the kitchen like fucking everything up. Where is he staying? Like because he obviously is like worry about that later. But okay, well overall, we'll see what happens. But yeah, divided. So Eric was like probably mixed.
Yep.
I would
Kevin
say
was
50
like, and I was absolutely not like. So we
So
we
let me ask you
covered
this.
all
Okay,
three.
so you didn't like it, and that's fine. Out of 10, what would you give it?
Three.
Hmm.
Okay. Which is fine, which to me is believable. If you didn't enjoy it, a three is you had things that you liked or whatever. I
Yeah.
gave it like a 7.5.
Okay.
Eric, what about you?
I was gonna go like 6.5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
okay.
which which stands. If you look at IMDb, and here's the funny thing is, Andrew, I showed you that little mock-up that I did, but I used my dear friend ChatGPT to do a little math for me. And I took the ratings on IMDb, and if you look at it, there is a shit ton of
Oh,
ones
one. Yeah.
and a shit ton of tens. And to me, both of those are lies. Either
Yeah.
those are people trying to defend the movie without making an accurate review, or people hating it that probably haven't even seen it, right? Like those are the two extremes. So when I look at this thing that says at the time there was 8,000 reviews, there's a hell of a lot more, but the spread is about the same. And so, but something like 30 plus percent of the reviews were ones and tens. And I'm like, that's just not an accurate thing. So I had ChatGPT say, okay, well, if we took these out, what would the rating be? And I actually did the same thing for Man of Steel because Man of Steel, while it doesn't have a bunch of ones, the Snyder Bros gave it a bunch of tens, right? And I don't think Man of Steel is a 10 at all. I think it is a flawed movie. I think it's a good movie. But when you took both of these films and took those extremes out and let the rating settle, they were actually much closer rating wise than people want them to be. Supergirl comes out to like a 6.4, 6.5, something like that. And Man of Steel drops down to like a 6.7. So like they're not far off. They're obviously completely different films. Tone, everything completely different. Um, but you know, there's a very loud, obviously minority of people that just want to hate this movie because of what it is. Because no, I'm serious because
No, 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 no,
you
no, no.
can
I'm agreeing with. I'm rolling my eyes at those people, not
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it's difficult because they're just going to be dicks. Like they're just going to be
Yeah.
dicks about it because either it's a girl, or whatever, whatever reason they want to use
Hmm.
as their negative.
It's visuals. Let's be real. Like I do think that a lot of them are hating on her because she's not sorry. Like she's just not like she's not Laura Vandervoort, for example, right?
Yeah,
Whereas, and I think that's why it's a lot of the hate that what's her name, believe it or not,
it-
Lupita is getting for they're like, oh, so this is that's the face that launched 1,000 ships or whatever. 'Cause obviously, they're it's a trailer. And it's obviously not a very flattering scene where she's like screaming and her head, like her face is all. I even shared it because
yeah,
I'm just like, you know what? I'm
yeah.
not even going to give fire to that or whatever. But like, it's that. I think a lot of these guys are just kind of superficial.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
But
the
I will
best.
$100%.
also
Like
say
there's no
David
question.
Corenswet is not exactly a fucking like fugly dude. Like he the guy's 6'10", and I'm joking.
6'5".
But like I know, but
Yeah.
he's tight for women is like booth for guys. It's a tall guy, women can't. It's a thing. So anyway, he's tall. He's got these bright big blue eyes. His teeth are not crooked; they're completely straight, and he's got a chiseled feature. So I'm just being real. Like he's like not average looking. Millie, she's average looking.
Also, don't forget we're also in the age of incredibly chauvinistic pricks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
So
And
that's what
again,
it is.
it's the vocal minority. Like if you
mm,
and here's the trick too is that when you spend enough time on something like Twitter, which is where I, follow a lot of the discourse, right? The problem with getting into that is that when you start to lean a certain way and you start to react to the positive posts rather than the negative ones, all of a sudden your feed will start to become more positive. So all the negative guys are just like, well, all I see is bad stuff in my feed. And all of the all I'm starting to see is only positive things. But what's interesting is that the I made a comment about how I enjoyed it and said I'd give it a 7.5 out or 8 out of 10. The comments that I got were ridiculous, ridiculous. I was called a shill. Somebody like a couple people said, "Well, how much are they paying you?" I was like, "Not enough, I'll tell you that, because it's about that much, right?" And so, I mean, obviously not. I got, "Are you gay?" To which I responded, I was like, "Would it matter?" I was like, "Okay, like, would it matter if I was? What difference does that make? You know, like, what does that have to do with the movie?" you know? And it's just like 95% of the comments I got were negative and basically personal attacks rather than anything about the movie at
Yeah.
all. And most of the people that I engaged with, because a couple of people were like, well, the majority of people don't like it. And I was like, well, that's incorrect. I was like, if you look at all of the stats, all of the statistics say the majority of people liked it. I'm not saying 100% of the people liked it, but if you look at the critic score on IMDb, it's at 56%. That's a majority of people liking it. Sorry, you don't understand what majority means, but anything over 50% is a majority. 76% of the audience liked it. That's a much larger majority. IMDb is well over a 6, which is higher than a 5. That's a majority. So I'm like, I was like, so why don't you show me where your majority is coming from? Show me the numbers, and then they would just get all shitty and say something, and I'd be like, cool. I'm not asking to argue about how good it was or how bad it was or anything. I'm like, you said the majority of people don't like it, so show me. And then people would just
They
get shitty. And
couldn't.
finally, they would just shut up because the only
Yeah.
thing I would say was I didn't say anybody was great. I'm not arguing with you about the quality of the movie, the villain, anything. I just want you to show me the numbers you're talking about, and they never can. And so that's like I would just argue with somebody until they shut it down. But uh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not a perfect film, and I definitely see the flaws in it, but I enjoyed it a lot. And not only that, I watched it with two of my sons, and they walked out and they thoroughly enjoyed it. The theater that I was in, while not even remotely packed, um, everybody walked out enjoying it. It definitely
mhm.
wasn't like walking out of Obsession, where like there was a feeling walking out of the theater in Obsession, right? Like I I remember with that one, somebody behind me literally said, "What the fuck just happened?" That was the exact words of the people walking out behind me. Um, and I mean that whole place was just a mood, a vibe. Like
Yeah.
you felt that, and you didn't get that here, but everybody walking out was really happy. So it's a movie that I wish more people would give a chance and see because I think it deserves more than it's getting. I would like to see it break even, and even that's going to be a push. Um, I think it was better than He-Man. Uh, I think you know, and that one suffered. So it'd be interesting to see what happens down the line. But I know that obviously Millie Alcock's already on the set for Superman: Man of Tomorrow, so she's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No.
Um, And I think we'll just have to see what they do with the character um, and where it goes. I think the character itself is fine, and I think her having still a bad attitude is actually a good thing overall. It gives
Mhm.
her a different take on things with Clark when they have a similar power set. So you have two very similar ability-wise characters with different mindsets.
Her mom said you don't have to be nice, just be
Mhm.
good. I
Yep.
loved that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's not, yeah, she'll mess you up. She'll break your arm in an arm wrestle.
Hmm.
Yeah. But like,
That was dope too.
but she'll still be good.
That was great, that scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that you got to have them be different. Like, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say I was thoroughly entertained. I didn't walk out thinking, ugh, at all,
Yeah.
at all, at all. And there have been movies where I've walked out going, "Oh, okay, we gave it a shot." I didn't feel that way here at all.
Well, you heard my voice note, so that
Oh,
one
yeah.
involves dramatic.
So, well, cool. So I mean, again, if you look at our general consensus, we're somewhere around a six, we'll say. Like, I'm not going to throw all the math with 13, 16 divided by three, so maybe closer to a five. I don't know. But we're still technically like in that upper half of the thing. So, I mean, if you're listening or watching, you're on the fence, but you're curious, as long as you're not like just anti-female superheroes or you're not a dick or whatever, at least give it a shot because I think
Yes.
it's worth giving a shot because even here you've seen three different opinions on it, right? And I think you owe it to yourself to see it and give it that second take. If I had nothing else to do and I had the time, I actually would have seen it a second time in the theater. Like I would have gone back and seen it again. Um, but for now, I'm think I'm sitting on resting on my laurels for a couple weeks. I've got my tickets to the Odyssey, got my IMAX tickets in a row for that thing, so I'm ready to rock and roll. But yeah, I there as an adult, I feel like there's not really anything else out there right now to go see. If you haven't already seen like Disclosure Day and a couple of other things that are out there, um, but if you're not taking your kids to see Minions, you're not taking your kids to see um,
Toy
Toy
Story
Story,
5.
or if they're a little older, take them to see Supergirl. Again, it's worth it. And I think, especially kids and younger girls, I think have something to get out of this.
Now, was that
Uh,
rated PG-13 Supergirl or was that rated R?
it's
Oh,
definitely not R.
PG-13.
It's either
Not at
PG or
all.
PG-13. I'm sure it's PG-13 because I think
Yeah.
there's a little bit of
There's
language in it.
violence and murder.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
PG-13. I'm looking at it right
yeah,
now.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I was just gonna look. Okay.
yeah. So that makes sense to me. But yeah, I think you could take your kids to it and have a really good time. So, all right, cool. Well, since we are on the feminism bent and Lauren is back,
Woohoo.
Lauren, you watched The Testaments
I sure did.
on Hulu. Tell us a little bit about that one, and then I'll jump in a bit because I also watched it.
Yeah. So about 2 years ago when I joined the show, Andrew brought up how that was a show, The Handmaid's Tale, that I had talked to him quite a bit about. I know he hasn't seen it, but you know of it. Kevin has watched it. That I believe went for 6 seasons. In my opinion, 6 seasons too long. But Margaret Atwood wrote the second book to Handmaid's Tale, which came out in 2019, called The Testaments, which is the new generation of women and focuses on the character of Agnes, who is June Osborne's daughter in Gilead. Originally, in the beginning of Handmaid's Tale, if you recall, for anyone that has seen it, you'll see June, Luke, and Hannah get separated when society collapses. And then from there, Hannah, who now goes by Agnes, was given to an elite family who could not bear children, so a commander and his wife. And during this time, as far as we know from The Handmaid's Tale, she was brought up in this elite world, had a lot of money, and is with these parents named the Mackenzie family. Then you have June, who is a handmaid, who's in her sect, her grouping of women who is able to bear children and is being sent every couple, maybe months to a year to a commander to then bear children for those who could not conceive naturally. And then, of course, Luke, the husband, eventually gets separated out. I forgot where he goes, but
Canada.
well, I know he goes to Canada, but he's somewhere before Canada.
Oh, is he? Okay.
But anyway, he's the first one to get to Canada. In my opinion, with Handmaid's Tale, and Kevin, I'm sure you felt this way too, it was just so long. They took creative license, I believe, after season one, and it was pretty solid for season two, season three.
Yeah.
Once they got to the later seasons and June finally gets to Canada, in my opinion, that should have been a wrap. That's it. Done. So when I heard about the Testaments coming out, and I think this was in late 2025, I was curious, but I wasn't inspired. I then saw the trailer, which is from the point of view of three characters, one being Agnes, who is June's and Luke's daughter, Hannah, renamed to Agnes when she is adopted to that family or to that elite couple in Gilead. A character by the name of Lucy, who we meet, who is a woman from Canada who is essentially characterized as like a missionary who wants to be in Gilead and is fulfilling her rightful duty of being a Christian woman who wants to go from Canada to Gilead. And then Anne Dowd's character, Aunt Lydia, and you get to learn more about her backstory, which is fantastic with her coming back into Gilead. So, just to set the stage here, Hannah, now Agnes, is no longer a young child. She's no longer a pink, as they call in that society, but she is a plum. She is of adolescent age. She is, and this is how I saw it. This was the school for plums for women that are adolescent age that are soon to be groomed into becoming wives of Gilead, the obedient wives. And you get to see their point of view. And that's this story of the Testaments. Aunt Lydia, who was overseeing the well-being and just the security of handmaids, was now the head, well, the figurehead of this school for plums and pinks. And she is responsible for making sure that this new generation of women are able to transition to green and to becoming wives of these commanders. So that's essentially, I guess, the build up or to the storyline here. I loved it. I'm so glad I got to see this and give it a chance. I feel like unless you watch Hulu or Disney Plus, the actual advertising for it wasn't as good as when Handmaid's Tale came out. So I did tell a lot of my friends about it. And to be honest with you, this came out in April. I didn't start watching this until a week or two ago. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad I did because this, in my opinion, goes back to the originality and just the emotions and just the grit that comes with season one and maybe even season two of Handmaid's Tale. So it's
Mhm.
definitely bringing you back to why does this matter that this society is so messed up and from a different perspective being the young woman. Kevin, how much did you watch of it? Did you finish it or how
Oh
far
yeah,
along are
yeah.
you?
So I watched the whole thing. But I definitely
Curious.
agree about the advertising because I saw a couple of like short trailers kind of in the background. You
Mm-hmm.
see a bunch of teenage girls walking around and whispering each other's ear and giggling in the trailer. And I'm
Yep.
like, cool, this is like some teen CW type show that I don't care about. I didn't even know it was in the Handmaid's Tale universe. Like, had no idea
Yep.
until you said it. And then I was like, okay, well, then I'm at least curious, right? Um, it definitely has a vibe that skews probably a little too young for me as far as the story goes. I still thought it was really good, but it definitely feels a little teenagery at times because everybody's a teenager. Like,
Correct.
yes, you get Ann Dowd's character, you get Ann Lydia in there, and Ann Dowd is fantastic in everything she is in. She is
Yep.
wildly underrated. She's a wonderful actress. And I think her story is interesting. One of the things too is that as somebody that stopped watching Handmaid's Tale around season three, for as iffy as things maybe got down the line in that show, I had to do the research to understand what happened at the end of that show because it greatly impacts what this story is. So if you haven't watched Handmaid's Tale and you're not going to watch it at the end, then this is spoilers. If you think you are going to watch it, well, then plug your ears for a minute. But basically, the Handmaid's Tale took place in Massachusetts. And so there's a big battle for, they call it, I think they call it Battle for Massachusetts. It might be Battle for Boston. I'm
Something
not
to
sure.
that. Yeah.
One of those
Hmm.
two, where the non-handmade people won that battle. So that area has been liberated, and they're still kind of fighting for it. So there's definitely stories about trying to go back and kind of fight that front still, but they lost. So everybody that was in basically in the Handmaid's Tale either died, and some of the main characters kind of died in that story, or they were able to flee to Canada or somewhere to safety. Um, but Ann Dowd's character, Aunt Lydia, who was training all these girls, um, she I think she was branded a traitor at the end, and even got up on the block to be hanged. And because of the riots, she was ultimately saved. The part of the story that I'm still not clear on is how they decided that she wasn't guilty after all, and then made her a figurehead for the school. So there's a bit of the story in there that I didn't wasn't able to find. Like I'm not sure how she went from being in trouble and almost being killed at the hands of the people, or maybe I got it backwards. Maybe she was almost killed by the people that were overthrowing. I'm not sure. So that part of the story I'm not sure on. But what's cool about this one um, is that you actually get some of her backstory from pre-Handmaid days. Like,
Pre-Gilead.
yeah, like you get
Hmm.
the moment that she became this thing that we hated her for in the first show. Um,
Yep.
the other problem that I had with the show is it felt a little Gossip Girl because there was so much voiceover coming from the characters, and I think because they're all teenagers that does make it feel more Gossip Girly. Because I think Handmaid's Tale had a fair amount of voiceover from
It was more narration, I believe, from June, whereas this
yeah,
has like
yeah,
from the voice of Aunt Lydia, Lucy, and then
yeah,
Agnes is really the lead
um,
character here. But
yeah.
yeah,
And then the other thing that is different about it now, at least in this part, that I think is interesting, they kind of learned from the mistakes of the Handmaid's Tale as far as the characters in the story.
mhm.
They don't have handmaids in this part of the story, or they do, but they're rare. The
The
idea is
reference, but you don't
instead,
see any red in the
yeah,
series.
and the difference here is that these girls are now groomed, and if they are deemed to be fertile, then they can marry. Whereas in The Handmaid's Tale, you married, and if your wife wasn't fertile, you'd get a handmaid. And
Assigned to you and to your
yeah,
family. Yeah.
which
Hmm.
which made that series feel a little darker because it felt like effectively a lot of sexual assault in that show, right? Like these handmaids were basically there to just be bred, right? And then people had their wives and they were happy with that or whatever. This one is still not necessarily a different situation, but instead you're taking these girls and telling them that they're going to marry into blah, 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 whatever. And these girls are, of the age where they're getting their first period. So they're young, but as
Right.
soon as they can do that, they can get married. So now you've got a 50-year-old dude marrying a 13, 14-year-old girl because she's fertile.
So here's my one criticism of this series. Well, first of all, Chase Infinity plays Agnes, right? And Chase
Yeah.
Infinity happens to be late 20s, right? She's playing what I would imagine, because it's supposed to be 15 years after the first season, someone who's figure, I don't know, 17, 18. I'm sorry, based on what they're showing, it's showing all these women are getting their period for the first time at 17, 18, when really the average age to get your period is more like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So that part, Kevin, I didn't buy, but the whole
The
significance of it, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing I can think of is that because we live in a world where the entire world is affected by whatever this was, where women
Sure.
are no longer fertile, right?
Okay.
Gilead chose to
Sure.
deal with it in a certain way. Maybe that affected the biology enough that these girls
It's
it
delayed.
happened later. I don't know. You could make that argument. I've never heard it made in the
But
story.
they're underage. You believe to
Sure,
think they're underage, so that's
100%.
gross. And of course, when they're, doing this like matchmaking situation, like first dibs come to like the elite commanders, and the one who Agnes is initially matched with is easily 55 or 60, which is gross.
Yes, very.
So, and it's like, are you happy with your choice? And of course, yeah, and it's like, no, you're not. Get out of here. It's sort of like, I'm gonna throw this one out, Eric. Fiddler on the Roof, where the first one, the first daughter, is like, how about this old butcher? Take the butcher. It was that
He
situation,
makes
which
the
is
whole deal with the butcher, yeah, to marry off his oldest daughter. Yeah, yeah.
that's exactly this case with
And he's older
Agnes.
than
Than the father,
yeah.
exactly. And that's the same thing here. That guy, Kevin, was older than Commander Mackenzie.
Hmm.
And his first wife died in childbirth, which you come to find out. The whole period situation, I'm just going to talk about this real quick. It's like a baptism. You get your period in the society, and then you go to school and you ring your bell, and everyone's like cheering for you, like, come on! And everyone's then like, blessed be the fruit, you're fruitful, and this whole thing, which is crazy. And then they wake her up like one night in her nightgown, and it's kind of hilarious. They go in this pool at the school, and everyone's hood like has a hood, as if they're doing like a sacrificial ceremony or
Yeah.
something like that, and they just dip her into the water. Hilarious. And yeah, and then she gets her pin for being fertile. And then you have, which I thought was kind of funny in the whole series, that one girl who, even in the last episode, still did not get her period. But at the ball, Kevin, you know where I'm going with this, right? The two girls who didn't get their period yet. And then she does some sort of like crazy, um, I don't want to say like witchcraft type of thing, but she makes this drink at the ball. So they have this ball where all the girls who have gotten their pin and have had their period before get to meet these old commanders, and all the girls who have not had their period still have to attend the ball, but they're not actually being showcased to meet the men. And two of the girls who are in their friend group have yet to have their period, and the other girl's like, let's drink this like random drink out of leaves. And of course, by the end of the ball, one of the girls, like the nerdy girl, she gets her period all of a sudden at the end of the ball, and as they're at the ball, you hear like a ringing at like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night. They're like, what the heck? And she's like, I got it. And she's all excited that she got
Yeah.
her period. And the other girl is pissed because she's like, I'm the lone wolf now without my period. I'm that basically, if you don't get your period, you have to like repeat a grade in
Yeah.
school, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
And then I think at
uh,
some point you kind of fail out, and then you become,
a
whatever else.
Martha, or who
Yeah.
knows what you become? Who
Yeah.
knows? Exactly, Eric. And I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to more about that piece that you just mentioned. So, where it also gets very icky, one of the girls' fathers is a dentist, and let's just say some very inappropriate things happen to these plums while they go to the dentist.
Yep.
And they're being beautified for this event as they, transition from, okay, I just got my first period, to I have to be presented and judged, and then hopefully someone will want to choose me and match up with me to be my prospective husband. So the whole show was, I liked it. The end scene was surprise in the end, one of the last episodes, Kevin, regarding Rebecca.
Who was my favorite
And
character, I think.
really,
Yeah.
I was shocked when that happened. Were you? With
Oh
that
yeah,
scene in the bathtub.
yes, because everything leading up to that, I was like, everything that led up to that. At one point, I was like, man, fuck Agnes, man. She's being a shitty friend. And then no, it was actually after that, the scene after that, when she effectively turns her in. I was like, fuck you. I was like, I'm very disappointed in this character who I generally like, but you can tell she just doesn't understand the world that's really there. Like she's been so brainwashed. Like
Hmm.
she's at least sort of excited to be to grow up, to get a husband, to do these things that everybody tells them they're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, because it's like you're succeeding at life because you're doing this thing that is horrible, right?
Right.
And so that was maybe the end of the seventh episode, I think, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And that moment though, but when it happened with Becca, I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, this is not going to go well for you, but fuck yeah. But she, like, I think I liked her character the most because she goes through the most. I mean, she gets so broken. And she's the one I think that really kind of embodies this whole situation more than anybody else.
Right.
And I think her character is really is what drives kind of the emotion of the show.
Yeah. And how about Lucy? We didn't even cover Lucy. So Lucy
I
is
like her.
is intentionally planted there. The third voice, you have Aunt Lydia, Agnes, and then this new girl, Lucy, who is a Pearl. And Pearl in Gilead means that you're someone who has come from a different country outside of Gilead who wants to be in the Gilead society. So you have to train separately to be accepted into Gilead to one day, in this case, be a wife. So you have all these women in white outfits, and Lucy is someone who comes from Canada, and you come to learn throughout the series befriends June, and June, along with the Resistance, which they call, what is the name of it again, Kevin? The Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
Mayday,
That's what
yeah.
it's called. Mayday, which is the Resistance, is planted there to get close to the Plums and the women so that she can hopefully be helpful in dismantling Gilead and society, etc. So yeah, that was interesting how um oh, side note, hilarious how she stirs the pot once she gets her teeth whitened.
Hmm. Yeah.
Lucy.
She she's a good character
Woo-hoo!
because she's like
Ballsy.
Where Becca's the hurt and broken character. Lucy's character is the angry character. Like
Oh yeah.
she understands the situation more than anybody else because she's
Right.
lived on the outside of it and seen
Correct.
what can happen. And she is angry. Like she wants to take this thing down. And she would, I think, if given the opportunity, she would kill everybody in her way to take it down. Like I think she would literally kill the commanders by hand if she could. Like she's just
Totally.
mad. Um, and instead she's got to play this close to the chest and kind of survive this thing. But yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show. I'll be ready for season two when it comes out.
Same.
Like I said, the difference between The Handmaid's Tale and this one is really that it's told from the point of view of teenagers, so it is a younger story. You know,
Hmm.
while the content isn't necessarily any less mature than the original, it feels a little less mature because it's coming from the point of view of these girls that are teenagers.
Right.
Um, but that doesn't make it a bad show in any way. And it definitely is not Gossip Girl uh in Handmaid's Tale. Like that was definitely like the vibe that I kind of got from the trailer. And like I said, when I first saw the trailer, I didn't even know this was in the universe. Like looking like at the outfits and stuff, it totally makes sense.
Right.
But the trailers just kind of show these girls just walking along and talking
In
and having a little
school and
beef.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like and it's yeah, it's interesting, but it's definitely better than the trailers gave. So if you saw a trailer, I would tell somebody to go back and rewatch the trailer a little bit with that context, and give it a shot if you like The Handmaid's Tale, especially if you liked
The
the
first
first few
season.
seasons of Handmaid's
Yeah.
Tale. I think that one went off the rails, and the problem with The Handmaid's Tale, this one doesn't quite have. Handmaid's Tale was super dark. Like Handmaid's Tale is a dark story, and they never
Oh yeah.
like even when they were winning, it didn't get any lighter. Like it was just dark and dark and dark, and it never felt like there was a light at the end of the tunnel, even when people were getting freed.
I have a question. Which one's darker? Handmaid's Tale or The Man in the High Castle?
Handmaid's Tale,
Ooh.
Done. All right, cool. Because
Handmaid's Tale,
Man in the High Castle is dark, but okay, cool. I
Man
was
in the High
It is
Castle is
dark.
dark, but at least in Man in the High Castle, I felt like in a lot of places there were glimmers of hope. And I just in through most of The Handmaid's Tale, you don't get that. And then when something even remotely hopeful happens, they undo it. Like I think in season two, I think June actually gets out and then she comes back in. Like,
Yeah, at one point she has to come back in, which is a whole other thing where it's like, what are you doing? What's happening
yeah,
here?
yeah. So like, um, and Man in the High Castle has the advantage of being more of a sci-fi show. So it's a little, a little weirder and lighter. Like Handmaid's Tale is dystopian. Handmaid's Tale is like a you can legitimately see the Handmaid's Tale happening. Like that, I think is the biggest problem with the Handmaid's Tale is you can see a world where this would really happen. It's not so far out there that it's not. The Man in the High Castle works because it's interesting to think, what if this
What
had happened
if?
differently? Yeah, it's a what if story. But then you throw in the stuff that happens at the very end. I've always said that Man in the High Castle was a perfect show until the last 5 minutes. If you ended that show 5 minutes earlier, perfect. But they get so like so happy and chipper at the end. You're just like, what are you doing? Like you change the entire tone of the show in the last couple of minutes. And like I don't have a problem with a happy ending. I wish The Handmaid's Tale had had a happier ending, and I wish it ended that we didn't need a Testaments show because the universe still existed. Like it's
Yeah,
wild that to think that the good people of the world were able to win in Massachusetts, but the Gilead like overall is still
still
huge. Like
existing.
yeah, and so like you beat this corner of it, but it's still huge. It's not something you can just stop. And
Right.
that's I think what makes it crazy.
When
Um,
I thought it should have ended, Kevin, which I honestly was shocked, when Fred Waterford Josephianus dies.
yep,
I don't remember which season it was, maybe three or four. That should have been the end. I think he was beheaded. I can't recall, but something like epic at the end where it was just
yeah.
like this guy died a very brutal death, but deservedly so because
Oh, he sucks.
he sucked so bad. That should have been the end. That should have been the end. Awesome. June has made it to Canada. That's it. The only thing which is not been concluded, will June and Luke be reunited with Hannah, which is who's now Agnes?
Yeah,
That has
yeah,
not happened. And I think that's also why the Testaments was written,
yeah.
to
To
be honest with
close that
you.
story out.
Correct. So, from my understanding, Handmaid's Tale, at least definitely season one, maybe season two, parts of it are covered in the actual book written by Margaret Atwood. And then they
Mhm.
just took creative license to go on with it, which was, it got to the point where it was so exhausting and ridiculous and unneeded, unnecessary. And then the Testaments, which is varied by the book, at least season one. I'm pretty sure season two, from my understanding as well, which is why I want to read the Testaments now, just to see how that aligns with the storyline of what's being showcased in the show. So
Yeah,
I'm impressed so far. The acting is great. Chase Infinity is fantastic. Lucy
yeah. I love
Halliday's
her.
great. Ann Dowd, once again. And by the way, Ann Dowd won a Primetime Emmy Award for this.
Mhm.
Okay.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal as Aunt Lydia. It's just she reminds me of guards from the Holocaust in some regard, in taking direction and overseeing, in this case, this sect of women and making executive decisions that are brutal. So I
Mm.
think she just plays, in many cases, she's a very evil character, but conflicted character. And you see her origins in the Testaments and how she became where she is, or how she was able to rise to her hierarchical status in
Yeah.
Gilead as a result of when society first caved and became, or was in the transition of becoming Gilead and was overthrown by these rebels, which are now, the head of their society, commanders, etc. So yeah, it's scary. And I think also it just the reason why Handmaid's Tale blew up, and I was talking about this pre-show with Kevin and Andrew, I'm sorry, Eric and Andrew, was 2016. There's a lot going on then.
Yep. Yeah. It was the right show at the right time.
Correct.
For it to do as well as it did. And great acting. Like I think Elizabeth
Amazing.
Moss is incredible. She's actually a great actress.
Oh yeah.
Um, and and to be fair, I think everybody in the Testament, sorry, in Handmaid's Tale was the one jarring thing about the Testament's the thing that actually kind of bothered me was how much the new like commander just looks like a clone of Joseph Fiennes. Like how does
Who
he look
plays her
exact?
father?
Yeah, no. The he's nobody's father. Is he? He's not Agnes's father. No. No, he the main guy, like the big boss of the area with the beard and everything, looks exactly and sounds exactly like Joseph Fiennes. It's like they tried to recast the character and they picked somebody that would be exactly the same, but it's a different character, but
Right.
he's exactly the same. And I'm like, I really wish he was different. I don't know how. Like, I mean, even just clean shaven would have done it, but he
I'm
just
curious which character you're referring to.
the only one that looks exactly like Joseph Fiennes. Let me see if I can remember his name. But he's the one that basically brings Ann Dowd's character in. Um,
Oh, I
uh,
know who you're talking about. Yeah, the one whose wife miscarries. You're talking about who?
is it his wife? Yeah, I think so. Um, I'm trying to see real quick what the character name is.
Yeah, I know who you're
Um,
talking about though. Yeah, he has the beard. I don't know if I see his thing in the casting, but I know who you're talking
I don't
about
either.
now.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's not in every episode. But it was just funny that like the guy that's in charge, the guy that is the main guy that you should really like hate,
Hmm.
looks exactly like the guy from the first season or the first series that you were supposed to hate. And I was like, man, just give me something
They didn't
different,
change him
blonde
up.
haired, something like I said, it feels like they were recasting the character, and they found this guy that is the perfect casting,
Uh-huh.
but they weren't recasting the character. It is actually a different character, so it
Commander
was
Judd,
weird.
I think was his name.
That
Charlie
who?
Carrick.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah. And if you look at like his IMDb photo, if they had just made him look like that, just shorter, stubbly and stuff, it would have been perfect. But they gave him like the same facial hair, everything. It was just a little too much um
hmm
to make him look like the other character. Um but it's a nitpick. Like he's good and you don't like him. It's just funny because I was like, he's the exact same character. Uh but yeah, Testaments is good. So if you were in that Handmaid's Tale universe, definitely give the Testaments a watch, I think.
100%.
Um, all right, cool. So Andrew, I'm gonna pick on you again because again, this was your day to spend time in the theater. We don't spend a lot of time on it because we have already talked about the Backrooms. But you saw it today. Um, and so what was your takeaway from it?
Backrooms was solid. I didn't like it as much as I thought it would. I thought I would. And I felt like by the time it was over, I was like, that was all right. Like I definitely, if they make a sequel, I will see it. But there were parts of the film where I felt like it dragged. There were parts of the film that actually reminded me of Skinamarink. And it's what's crazy to me is
Mhm.
that I was skimming some, critical responses to it. And while someone did say Severance was definitely probably an
Oh,
influence,
for sure, for sure.
right? The
Or
fact that
the other way
someone else
around.
said,
The other way around. Backrooms
oh, right,
existed long
yeah,
before
because
Severance. Yeah.
yes. But certainly, I was like, wow, another person that's Skinamarink. Um, she would tell a Jew for. The one thing I will say about him is, why are you always playing characters who are kind of like you turn out to be dicks in the end? I'm sorry. Like I know he was having a mental breakdown, but like, dude, you were a good guy who turned into a dick in
It's strange.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now you're a dick here? Like, dude, what the hell? I like the actress and I'm
Mhm.
Renata Rensay, I think, but I never heard of her until
Yeah.
this. And then I did see she was actually nominated for an Academy Award this year. So she's a Norwegian
What was
actress.
she
That's
nominated
why.
for?
Oh man, I forgot. I should have had it up.
But you
But
keep talking, I'll look her up.
yeah, look her up. Yeah. But it's the category that someone, you know what, whatever, just look it up. But continuing about Backrooms, I do wonder what the extra 15 minutes I saw were, but I will also say that by the end of the film, and then you find out that like, oh yeah, this other like this scientific group called Async is like exploring the Backrooms. I'm like, man, this is just like Dr. Brenner and the Upside Down all over again. Like we've already done this. Like the Backrooms is this other dimension with like weird ass ish happening, and it's somehow like connected to our world. It's just like a so it almost makes me think that I feel bad for the Backrooms like creepypasta because Backrooms is older than even Stranger Things. So I feel like the
Yep.
Upside Down was basically kind of based on the Backrooms. But it was deeply atmospheric, deeply kind of Gen Z and deeply layered. It actually I would describe it as haunting, and it actually might make me want to watch it again because you know there's things you might pick up on the second time around.
Well, and
Um,
I think it's funny. You would watch it in reverse, whereas like if I were to go see what you saw today, I would get 15 minutes that I hadn't seen. For you, you'd watch a shortened version of it, and I wonder if that would be better, especially because you felt like it was dragging a little bit. Um,
yeah,
and so maybe those 15 minutes were cut for a reason.
yeah,
Like they were giving them to the audience because it had been out for a while and had been successful, so they wanted to show them a little extra.
yeah.
But maybe they weren't there for a reason. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not saying it was perfectly
that's
paced
an
for me either,
excellent
but
point. That's a totally excellent point. Pacing is everything, and
yeah,
and you're totally right. But I will say, like, I think for me the most trippy part of the movie was again that like weird tall version pirate guy. I was like, whoa. And then also the stairs with no like sides. Yeah, I would be like clinging to every step like as I'm doing that. So it was a trippy film. So it's funny. I'll say this as I talk about it, I find myself liking it more. And I
yeah,
will say this has happened on this show before, where I'll be like, and but then I talk about it and realize, you know what, you like it more than you thought you did. So, but I did go in with very high expectations just because the buzz has been so high and it's been paired so much with Obsession that an Obsession just blew my. That's the other thing.
yeah,
Obsession, I went in with high expectations and they were still blown. That
yeah.
was the difference.
That is, if I had thought enough to, I would have told you to actually go in with lower expectations. When you compare it to Obsession, number one, it's two completely different types of films,
Yeah,
anyways. But it definitely just Obsession was a thing. Like Obsession was the shit. And I think Backrooms, when you look at what it is, especially, this is a 23-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid making a movie with some advice from a couple of great directors, right? Like James Wan came in and helped out. Mark Duplass is in the film. He's directed a bunch of good stuff. Like he had help, but like on paper, this kid has no business making a movie, right? Like he's never done it before, hasn't worked in Hollywood, nothing. And he took the things that he knew, worked with them, worked with the story he made, and it was really good. And what I think I said in my review was really fascinating was the group that I went with, which was my three kids who all know of the back rooms in different levels and iterations. My middle, who enjoyed the original lore that led to the Kane Parsons version, was actually disappointed in the film because he wanted more of that stuff that predated Kane Parsons, who is the director of the movie. He started making his own version of Backrooms, and that's what kind of blew up big time and then got us to the movie. My other kids that enjoyed the Kane Parsons stuff more enjoyed the movie more. For me, knowing nothing, I enjoyed the movie because I didn't have anything to compare it to. Um, but yeah, it's definitely um, it's a really interesting film. It is it's a trip, and what fascinated me too is the idea that you go into these spaces, and I'm not a claustrophobic person at all.
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to be locked in a coffin and buried, right? Like I'd probably lose my shit, but um,
agreed.
it was interesting that you go in here and these spaces are so big, but somehow actually still felt claustrophobic. Like you look around and there's nowhere to go. There's no windows, there's no nothing. It's just a big box. And yes, there's doors that take you to the next big box, but there's no like freedom. There's nothing natural about it, so it feels claustrophobic.
And so and I was gonna say, and people people are wired differently, and I've always felt a little neurodivergent. And the reason why I say that is because I actually find spaces like that kind of comforting. Like the idea of just it's a very cozy, like, and also nostalgic thing. And I
Mhm.
know that a lot of like with whether it's oh my God, there's a term for it. I'm trying to remember what the term is right now, but
Liminal.
retrowave or well liminal spaces for sure, but like retrowave and all that. Even there at one point there's a bathroom scene with the tiles, and there's even that kind of like almost Greco-Roman bust
Yeah.
like kind of face going on. I've seen that, and that's part of like the whole retro wave vibe or whatever. And whether it's VHS, 90s, carpet, even the way the couches look with the cloth fabric with the wood kind of trim, there's a certain familiarity that I actually am drawn to. But I do think internet culture, probably Gen Z and the last tail end of millennials, sees as somehow creepy, and I think
Yeah.
that that was part of the horror, if you will, of this movie. Whereas for me, it's like this odd sense of maybe I am like that guy. Maybe I want to stay there and like start eating the people. I'm joking, but like seriously, like but when you talk about it feeling claustrophobic, to me, it's like it was cozy to me. And I know that's weird, and I know that's not what I'm supposed to feel, but that's what I felt.
Well, and it's interesting too, when you're talking about some of that vibe, I mean, the film's supposed to take place in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, so
1990, exactly. And the
yeah,
Bay Area
yes.
too, San
Yeah.
Jose.
Yeah. So all
Yeah,
that stuff that of course would be sentimental to us because it's what we grew up
we
with.
lived it. Yeah.
And so, it is definitely a different vibe for us, I think, than like you said, the Gen Zs. But um, yeah, I thought it was a cool movie. I really did. I think there's a lot of potential there. There's no way it's not getting a sequel. There's
No
just a
way.
0% chance it did very well.
Yeah.
And did very well effectively up against Obsession,
Yeah.
and still managed to do well in the
They
same
probably helped each
genre.
other, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. The movie the girl was nominated for was called Sentimental Value. She was up
Yes.
for Best Actress. And of course, Stellan Skarsgård was in it, and he was up for Best Actor because he's Stellan Skarsgård. He's dope. Looks like a very emotional family drama. But she was really good. Like I
He
liked
was
her a
great.
lot.
Yeah.
I hope that she comes back in the second one. Obviously, Chiwetel probably won't be back in the second one.
Just
Um,
because they're like, well, that depends on, like it's not my decision, which basically
yeah,
means we're gonna let you live. Like, sorry not to spoil it. Like, yeah, it's like that
yeah,
sucks. Like, really? Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it
Oh well.
is, and like is coming and going? Is it spreading like an infection? Like what are they worried about? They're in suits and stuff. Like there's definitely some interesting stuff going on in there that we don't have answers to. Like, and I think that's sort of the draw of the Backrooms too, is that there's lore, but there's also things that just are unanswered, like always unanswered. And for me, that's not the worst thing in the world. Um, so yeah, 100% there's going to be a sequel. Like there's just no way there's not. So I'll be ready to see that one when it comes out in the theater. Um, so cool. Um, Eric, would you have a documentary?
Yeah, I watched is my mic on? Yeah.
Yep.
I watched Bang My Box, Robin Byrd on HBO Max. It's just started this week, and it's a documentary about Robin Byrd, who was an early public access cable TV host on what was called Channel J in Manhattan back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. She was a mid-level porn actress, and she started doing a weekly. She took over someone else's show that was already on, and it just became her own thing. And she became an advocate for sexuality. She became an advocate for LGBT. She was one of the first to really incorporate all of that onto TV and to expose that on a grander level, cross dressers and so on, uh, and mixed it in with everyday sensuality. And it basically tells her story, and I recommend it. Even if you have no idea who she is or who she was, it's a very interesting story, and it's told well.
I do see Sarah Jessica Parker was one of the producers, which I think is pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. I think, from what I know, I like it's a very, 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 very New York thing. And yeah, NYC cable access. Um, yeah, like I mean, what did you like? If you could pick three things you liked about it, what would you say they were?
So, as a kid growing up in New Jersey, not seeing it, but hearing about it almost all my life, and no real way to see it other than when I was in Manhattan at times and at people's apartments at times, and seeing it at the very tail end of it because I was much too young to really get into it when to see it when it was in its peak anyway. I was already in college, and it does tell the story of what it was like for these people uh, to be on a more public accessed availability, and to have that stage to be themselves and to be plugged into part of the New York City pop culture of the time, which it very much was. You would hear people talk about it in offices, in schools, in colleges, everywhere. People would talk about it. Uh, and it was part of it was like the last part of the sexual revolution.
It's funny. I
Right
feel
before
like
the whole AIDS thing blew up and everything. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, I feel like public access was kind of like the internet before the internet. It was just
It
kind of like,
was.
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
because like basically like regular TV had gatekeepers. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be able, whereas the internet is unfiltered. Who you are. It's like so that was like she was like an early influencer for sex positivity. You
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah. So that's kind of
100%.
cool.
That's exactly who she was. And it's also very interesting because they do show her in the now, and very much a different looking person, but with the same moral compass, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Cool.
good guests in there too, like in the documentary. So Sherry O'Terry's in there, who I love from our generation of
I
SNL, I think.
absolutely love her. Yeah.
Sandra Bernhardt, who's always fucking great.
And she was a
Uh,
regular apparently. Yeah.
oh, that does not
Yeah.
surprise me. That this is exactly the type of show I'd expect her to be on. Um, but yeah, that's it's definitely interesting. I had not heard of it, but I spent most of my time, all of my life on the West Coast, so I never
Mm.
heard about the show or anything. So definitely is interesting. Like I think I might give it a shot and just see what it's all about.
I think it was interesting enough that for them to have made the doc and to put it on HBO. It's interesting even if you don't know exactly who she is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm down.
yeah.
I'll check
Anything
it
anything
out.
that's about you know, I don't want to say civil rights activist necessarily, but somebody that's definitely pushing the needle forward at a time when it needed to be pushed forward is pretty interesting.
Absolutely. And she was not shy and she was not quiet. She made the rounds. She was on Joan Rivers' show. She was on Donahue. She she was out there, and she was out there.
Uh-huh. Cool, cool.
All right. Well, Lauren, did you have one more thing?
No,
No.
I think I'm good. We covered quite a bit in depth this evening about a
Yeah.
lot of things. I will say, I know I've been on hiatus recently, but I did see Obsession. I did see Disclosure Day. Um, I think Obsession is something we're going to be talking about for a while, and I 100% agree. This is something that should get recognition, hopefully award season. I shouldn't say should, will, based on how much social currency that's acquired and deservedly so. I think this is a rare, I don't want to say rare, but it is a gem for us to see early on in 2026. And it's giving me hope that we have even more good films
Oh,
to come. So I think people are back. And Andrew, I think you posted this on social media that this is the first year since 2019 that ticket sales have already surpassed, I believe you said is it 5 billion? I'm trying to recall the figure you gave.
yeah, I don't remember the figure either, but you said the main point. With 2019 pre-pandemic, we're now back to
We're back.
pre-pandemic levels, and it's
And this
great.
is exactly, I think, what people need. Films like Backrooms and Obsession to really start the wave. And I think The Odyssey is going to be the next high point of this wave. And I feel very positive about 2026 when it comes to back to theaters. Last year, and I remember our reviews in December, and I feel like the three of us at this point were very heavy on TV series. Not that I'm not positive about TV series, but I think 2026, this is the year for movies, y'all. It's get
Yeah.
back
It's
into the
definitely,
theaters.
and there's still a lot coming. I mean,
Totally.
the Odyssey obviously comes out this month. Spider-Man comes out at the end of the month.
Hmm.
Um, there's some fun stuff in
Dune.
August.
Yeah.
Dune and Doomsday are at the end of the year. In August, End of Oak Street looks like a lot of fun. Like that looks like a great end of summer popcorn film. Um, there's something else coming out in August that look pretty good. Though the one that I keep seeing trailers for when I'm going to the movies, and I haven't seen advertised, which really bums me out, is Dog Stars with the kid
Yeah,
from Frankenstein,
yeah.
Oh,
It's
Jacob
Lordy.
Elordi. Yeah.
Ridley Scott.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the trailer for that a couple times, and I'm like, I want to see this movie, and I want to see it in the theater. Like, it looks good, and it's got a cast. It's him, Margaret Qualley, Thanos, Josh Brolin,
He
like,
sounds like Thanos when he's talking.
yeah,
But I was gonna say, but it comes out
Oh,
in
Josh
August, I think,
Brolin.
yeah.
right?
It comes out in August. Yeah,
But that's the
August
thing.
28th. I see it.
August is tip I August and July tip I'm not July, August and January I've heard are kind of like the graveyards for
yeah.
movies. Like it's like that's when they like, I don't believe in this movie. It's in January.
Let's put it
Maybe it's
out.
fall. Yeah.
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 August?
And but this
Yeah.
August, there's at least, like I said, there's at least two movies that I'm excited about. I'm going to take my kids to see End of Oak Street, and hopefully one of my kids will want to go see Dog Stars because that one to me looks really good. And I feel like maybe there might even be one more. Like the reason that I signed up for AMC stubs this
Yeah.
year is it just felt like the flow of movies is not going to stop this year.
I
So it
agree.
becomes worth it because it's paying for itself.
Do you know what's
100%.
proof that we're eating good right now in content? Have any of us even bothered to watch Spider-Noir on Amazon?
I'm almost done with it. Yeah, I've been watching it with my kids.
I'm in the
Yeah.
middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay, speak for yourself, asshole. No,
Yeah.
I just told. I mean, I've been busy too, to be fair, right? That's why I just saw Supergirl in Backrooms today because I literally didn't have that chance. But it's like it's already. I think all 8 episodes are already out.
Yeah,
The Rotten
they dropped
Tomatoes
all at
is
once.
strong.
Um,
Okay,
but
but yeah,
okay,
I
so that show is totally a vibe show. It's so different than anything else. It does not fit into the MCU. Like it's so different, and it's Nick Cage. It is Nick Cageiest. Like it is. It is definitely a vibe. It is fun. It's weird. It's interesting. Um,
will Andrew like it
definitely
or hate it?
different. What's that?
Will Andrew like it or hate it?
I think if you can get behind the weirdness of it, like if you get drawn into that, I think you'll
Mhm.
really like it. Then the characters, because it has a very like borderline cheesy, like 30s mob feel to it, right? Like
Vibes, as you
everything
said.
everything about it is a little over the top.
Okay. But
And
that's Nick
is
Cage.
done with love, but the actors are really good. You know, is it Brian Cox that plays the main bad guy? No,
I love Brian Cox. Okay,
is
cool.
that Brian
Done. Yeah.
Cox?
Yeah,
Um,
Um,
and do not watch it in color.
yeah,
yeah, no, the
Watch the
black and
black
white,
and white.
to me it looks great in black and white.
Hmm.
The girl that plays she's like the little Asian singer. I
Hmm.
love her. Um, Lamorne Morris from New Girl is fantastic in this. I love him. Um, you know,
God,
and
I'm so sorry.
his secretary is fantastic. I love
Oh
her.
yeah,
She's
she's great.
sassy. It is really good actually. It's just so different.
So I typed in Spider-Noir in Google and the screen turned black and white
Yeah.
and rain actually came down on
I
my
just did the
Hmm.
Google.
same. I did the same, Andrew. That's
That
pretty cool.
just happened. I'm like, this is awesome.
That's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Sorry, I just share that really quick.
And yeah, it's his baby. It's Nick Cage's baby, and he
Yeah,
does such a good job. He really does.
yeah.
All right.
It's funny to me because he's such a good actor at turning Nicolas Cage into whatever character. Like every character he ever plays is Nick Cage in some way.
Hmm.
But
There's a
But
guy
he's
this one
named
great
doesn't
at it.
feel.
Joe Massengill. That's his real name, and he plays Pudge. But I feel bad for that. Like that doesn't isn't Massengill like
That's rough, man. I
Yeah,
would
yeah, yeah,
probably
that's a
change that.
product, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Yes, it
yeah.
is, and
At
it's
Adam at CW, I'll just say CW is in like the WB and the CW. Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. We had a running joke called changeyourname.com. So whenever I saw a name that was just wrong, I would just type in changeyourname.com, but we do it in like Yahoo Messenger or whatever to each other. But anyway, that's an inside joke. Moving right along. Sorry.
but yeah, I definitely I would say give it a shot. I think the first I would give it 2 episodes. The first episode may not grab you entirely, but it definitely gets better as it goes. And I 100% agree. Watch it in black and white because that's where the real magic has. And it's not Brian Cox, it's Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson. I was just about to say, that's who
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
thinking of. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Really
who
love.
I definitely love. Definitely love. Like Brendan Gleeson's dope. Um so yeah, it's just it is a really good cast and it's a really fun story and um is a different spin on a character that is an entirely different character. Like it's Ben Riley, not Peter Parker. Like yeah, there's no reason to not give it a shot.
The last thing I'll just say then really quick, then we can talk about it more when you get caught up, is X-Men 97 really quickly. I'm in love. Like season one was amazing. It had a lot of depth, in my opinion, and it was very much connected to the original X-Men cartoon in Fox in the 90s.
Mhm.
It stopped in 95, and then of course, decades later, they pick it right back up with the same theme song called X-Men 97. Season two has started and it's just like just for like Magneto again is actually kind of a good guy now, and now they're dealing with Apocalypse, who is like this kind of immortal. He's the first mutant, and he was around since like 3000 BCE, and he's also around like far flung in the future. And you've got Scott Summers, who is like no Nathan Summers, who was Cyclops and Jean Grey's kid. He becomes Cable.
Cable.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like it's yeah, all I have to say for anyone who's not watching it, but you like the X-Men, watch it. I'm optimistic for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because if we get sick of Captain America and Iron Man and everybody else, there is a wealth of storytelling and stories that can be done from the X-Men universe. So many characters, so many character arcs, and yeah, it's actually probably my favorite animated show this year, and that's saying a lot considering how much I liked Invincible because Invincible was the shit this year. So, but this is next level. That's all I got.
Cool. All right, then. Well, with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.